The most awaited Boruto chapter is finally out, and I must say it's the first chapter where almost all the predictions that we made have finally come true. Like the breathtaking entry of Kawaki with an aura which is similar to Boruto's arrival from the first chapter. Just like how he made his debut in the same chapter of part 1, this spectacular comeback has finally fulfilled his revenge from Jura, who had done him dirty in the early chapters. Kawaki has came back a lot more stronger, which means all his limiters have finally been released. But what shouldn't be ignored is that he had even asked for some scientific advancements from Amado, and looking at how even Jura feels like his strength is on another level, there is a chance that he might have surpassed Ishiki in raw power. We even got to see Koji tripping while using the prescience, as he was able to find an update in the timeline. It was the arrival of Kawaki, which was an outcome of Boruto revealing the power limiters to him back in chapter 15, a possibility that Koji may have missed while running the prescience, something that we already predicted in a number of videos. So there is a definite flaw in Koji's 10 directions, which makes it weaker than the true powers of Shibai or Suzuki, is the knowledge of the unseen, and I will soon be deciphering it just to get a clear understanding of how we are supposed to reach the battle of the Hokage mountain. And as for the craziest part of the chapter, it was the glimpses of future that Koji saw while running 10 directions, which showcased a number of new possible events, starting with a rematch between Sarada and Hidari, which is on the way, the most awaited fight between Daemon and Mamushi, that I'm sure would explain his ability better, on top of revealing some more feats of Shibai or Suzuki. Inogen seems to have been injured and would somehow reach the hideout of Orochimaru, where Koji is taking refuge. Well, that's one of the most exciting possibilities, as the involvement of Team 10, even after the retrieval of Masuri's Soul Thorn, only means that the writers are cooking a full-fledged Shinobi vs Shinju arc for the future. We even have a glimpse of Himawari in one of the futures, which means there will be more to her role in the story. So does it mean that Kawaki is not enough to defeat Jura, or will the Shinju break his morals to gain an unfair upper edge? We even got to see Boruto's sword cracking against Jura, which may be a hint of Hidari's upcoming betrayal that would lead to Jura's ultimate elimination. The Inogen panel also teases the possibility of Koji's death, a possibility that could lead to the Jogen's awakening, and by the end of this video you will find out exactly how. The cliffhanger of chapter 22 showed us Jura neutralizing the Uzuhiko by explaining it as a technique which follows the same mechanism as the Biju bomb. It was a clear reference to the Minato one-shot manga, where the grandfather of Boruto can be seen creating the Rasengan against Kurama, who used a Biju bomb to attack him. Minato seems to have been inspired by this technique and instantly creates the Rasengan by swirling the wind energy into a bomb-like structure, while many people were expecting to get some more details on the Uzuhiko, but what we got instead was a cover page featuring Jura in a brand new pose, and not to mention the volume cover has also been revealed showing all the 5 Shinju together. The chapter is titled The Strong, with the first half featuring a tough battle between the Prodigy and the Monster, a prophetic fight that was supposed to get Boruto killed, but something came up in the last moment, which changed everything. So let's look at all the events from a chronological standpoint. The chapter starts with the character who gets abused as the Sakura of the story. Mitsuki seems to have killed a number of clog rhymes with his Sage mode, and that's when Konohamaru finds him. His reaction signifies that he was expecting Mitsuki and the others to be dead, which would have definitely happened if Sarada hadn't awakened her special Mangekyo power as a last resort. It seems like there is a quick off-screen conversation where Mitsuki explains the whole situation to Konohamaru. He gets to know that Araya has went after the Soul Thorn with the dead body of Yodo on his back, and likely the new power of Sarada as well. Well, it must have been a pain to see your students surpass you, but that's just how the plot was written. Even though Konohamaru has been around since the very early days of Naruto, he never got a feat strong enough to match the current generation. Some people were expecting him to unlock some ancestral power of the Sarutobi or even a new Sage mode, but looking at how things are going right now, he's nothing more than a supporting character who would need someone to save him every now and then. Well, back to the chapter, Konohamaru acknowledges the death of Yodo and how it was really unfortunate, but at the same time he believes that she must be happy for the rest of the team as they have successfully fulfilled their mission. Soon after, Konohamaru explains his survival incident. It was the arrival of Boruto who destroyed Masuri in an instance, and now he has ordered him to go to the same place where they first met the Sand Shinobi. Konohamaru also realizes that the Shinju want Boruto dead more than anything, and this may be a point where he got to know that he's not an enemy. The fact that he's surprised on the Shinju prioritizing Boruto's death over the life of their comrades must have made it clear to him that something big is happening in the back. Mitsuki comes with an idea to join Boruto against Jura, but his master refuses uses and tells him to follow the orders of Boruto as they may be a part of a greater strategy. We then cut back to the Jura fight where Boruto gets hit with a Biju bomb laser, and although he doesn't hit a vital like last time, he did get injured near the right side of the belly. Boruto confirms the damage to be worse than what he had expected, which again validates the superiority of Jura. The Shinju shoots another shot at the target, but he somehow dodges, and then he provides an analysis on his Biju bomb technique. Jura points out that the technique has a clear drawback. The obvious wind up makes the attack easy to see coming, giving quick alert fighters like Boruto a chance to dodge. To fix this, the Shinju thinks of two strategies. One is the rifle type tail beast ball, which allows for long distance accurate shots where the wind up is less noticeable. The other is a scatter type agent for close range use, spreading the blast wide enough to hit even fast and evasive targets like Boruto. This highlights the smart thinking of Jura as he tweaks the form of the technique to match the situation and deal with Boruto's speed. We then have a montage of fight sequences with Boruto trying to escape and Jura launching his Biju bombs again. Boruto can be seen retaliating with the kunai that he then uses as a teleportation medium to deal some damage on Jura. The Shinju uses his claw mark amped middle finger for a melee attack and Boruto loses his sword for a moment, but then he holds it back instantly and cuts off Jura's leg in a surprise attack. This was one of the most remarkable feats from the chapter, as the Ten-Tails humanoid losing his body parts could soon leave him handicapped, and looking at what happens later in the chapter, it could actually turn out to be the ultimate strategy. A few more panels and Jura loses his infamous middle finger as well, and then we get to the first sneak peek. I'm surprised no one noticed that Jura doesn't have a leg in this frame. It must have been intentional to draw him in this pose, where the condition of his leg is not revealed. Then we have Jura again striking a Biju bomb on Boruto that he somehow evades, and finally the fight reaches an interesting point. He tries to swing his sword against Jura, and that's when the Shinju cracks it with his pointed fingernail. Jura then kicks away Boruto and he lands on the ground, showing us the panicking reaction of Koji and Aida. The incident with the sword must not be something random, as I feel like there is some intentional foreshadowing involved. Boruto's sword is a symbol of Sasuke, which is why it's very dear to him, and right now the essence of his master lies within Hidari. Now a crack in the sword could mean that there will be a breakpoint in Hidari's heart, which could make him turn against the other Shinju. Well, that's a good topic for the next video, so make sure to subscribe to not miss it. So with Boruto at a very tough spot, let's say his final moments before death, Aida complains to Koji that she can't keep watching this, as at this rate Boruto will certainly die. Then we see Koji going through a sudden distress as he can be seen holding his head, and he doesn't even respond to Aida. She again urges him to say something, but he asks her to stay silent as there is an update which is coming. And just at this moment, Koji's prescience gets activated, where he is able to see a number of different and likely new possibilities which are about to emerge. We see a panel in particular where Jura is holding his right eye, which obviously means that he somehow lost it. Back to the battle, Jura pays some respect to Boruto's spirit and flies up in the sky to land a final blow. What's interesting here is that he sees this loss of Boruto as an incompetence of being an Otsutsuki. It may be his way of bragging how superior he is to the celestial beings, but either way he's also surprised that Boruto is still holding his master's blade. Another portrayal of love that is meaningless to the Shinju. And just when he's about to make the final blow, Kawaki appears from behind and pierces his eye through his head with a chakra rod. The most awaited moment of the chapter that literally sets Kawaki on a brand new journey of development. He tells Jura that he must be a monster for surviving something like this. Kawaki can be seen in his OG outfit from part 1, and he's even wearing the Shinobi headband on his waist, which means his love for the ninja system and ideals has not fallen yet. Aida is surprised to see Kawaki and she inquires Koji on what's happening. He responds by saying it's the new update in the timeline, as the last one came exactly 6 days ago. We then get to see a montage of all sorts of different events in the background, from Mamushi and Daemon to Sarada and Hidari. Koji believes that Boruto must have done something to change the timeline, which is why it's happening, and we as the audience know that he's absolutely right. It was the time when Boruto revealed the reason of Kawaki's weakness to him, which changed everything. It was a possibility that Koji did not account for, and that's why he couldn't see this future before. Seems like he hadn't used the prescience from the last 6 days, and judging by how he was surprised by the update, maybe this ability activates on its own once it identifies a different variable as a setup. We also see Delta on the battlefield, who confirms the safety of Mitsuki and the others. Seems like everyone was expecting them to die in this mission, but anyway. anyway. Jura tries to fight back Kawaki, but he realizes that his strength is on another level. We then get a small conversation between the Kama duo, with Kawaki warning to kill Boruto if he loses control, but he assures him to not worry, and then Kawaki activates the Kama to fight Jura, which concludes the chapter. Honestly, it was one of the best chapters of the manga so far, not only because of the Kawaki action, but also the portrayal of the Prescient's power, which has teased a lot of future events, similar to the time when Boruto saw the visions of the future in chapter 75. And if I'm not mistaken, the events teased in the Prescient sequence could take place exactly 5 to 6 chapters from this point. Well, as for my thoughts on Kawaki's new powers, it could definitely be something more than Ishiki's full power. There is no way he would casually ask Amado for scientific power-ups if he wasn't supposed to get them. The strong Shinobi spirit which appears in his outfit hints at the prologue still being a faraway thing. We haven't gotten a single hint for why Kawaki might become fed up of the Shinobi system. The last time it was chapter 78, when he said the ninjas are destined to die early. I'm pretty sure that RKB would have a hand in it as well, based on how likely it is for the family theory to come true. Anyway, since Kawaki's limiters have finally been turned off, I wonder if he did fulfill the demand of Amado or somehow managed to convince him without reviving his daughter. On top of that, he even activated the Kama and asked Boruto to remain under control. But what he may be forgetting is the fact that resonance is not under Boruto's control, so him activating the Kama could lead to Momoshiki's emergence if he wants to come out. And that may be what's about to happen in a chapter or two, cause back in part 1, it was chapter 25, in which the Kama resonated for the very first time, so maybe after Kawaki deals with Jura in the next chapter, it could follow with Boruto losing control and Momoshiki taking over. And if that happens, then we could get to see a rematch between Kawaki and Borushiki very soon. Now you could try to prove me wrong by saying if Momoshiki would have to appear, then Koji should have seen him in his recent visions. Well, as I put the emphasis on the flaw of prescience, which is the knowledge of the unseen, the same applies to Momoshiki's emergence, and it has already been confirmed by Aida when she said to Code that she couldn't see the conversation between the Otsutsuki and Boruto, as it may have taken in some sort of spiritual realm. The lack of knowledge is where these Shinjitsus fail, since Koji would have no way to see Momoshiki stopping time to take over Boruto. There is no way for him to obtain that information and look at the events that follow, until and unless the takeover actually takes place. It would be then that his prescience would be updated with new knowledge that would help him see events which follow the new direction. Another thing that I noticed in this chapter was the willingness of Konohamaru to follow Boruto's command and believing it to be a part of some plan. By the end of the chapter, Mitsuki and him reach their destination, and looking at the visions of Koji, it could be that Hidari is about to appear and Boruto wanted the Shinobi to be in close proximity in case they would need help. The chapter also proves that Boruto doesn't trust Koji completely, and that's the whole reason he revealed the limited secret to Kawaki. But what he's not aware about is the fact that it was just the beginning to another worst possible future, the one that would turn his village to ruins. As for how I believe Koji's death could lead to the Jogan's awakening, it could be something similar to Jiraiya's death making Naruto master the Sage mode, and I have a full video coming up on this, so make sure to subscribe to not miss that. Also check out these videos for more amazing stuff. I will see you next time.